My name is Harry, and I'm from London.
Meghan Markle here.
Today is April 12, 2024. It is 8:25 a.m. I'm in the middle of editing some stuff, and there are some new articles that come out that discuss what happened in the court. So I want to read some of them, and I'm way behind. Yesterday, I don't know. Every Friday, I tend to be a little bit lazy. I wasn't on social media that much. This one I sort of edited a few minutes ago. Let me schedule it maybe 12. I'll come back to it. Today's the 12th. Let's put it for 12 p.m. There's some stuff I still need to do on it. I didn't do a thumbnails. But what I want to do is go on Twitter and see what's going on. Close. Okay, so this is the background of this channel. Okay, for record purposes. All right, so let's start with this. How many tweets do I have? Not that much for this video specifically that we'll be talking about security. Only 4. And then there's some other things. Maybe later I'll check. New tweet regarding Ukraine and Charles, I see I have here. And there's some stuff about Meghan being in New York. So I need to... I'm still setting up for it. But for now, this is what I want to look at about the security. Only 4 tweets so far. And there's a possibility I might read more than one article just to compare. All right, guys, what has just come out about Harry's security case is heartbreaking. Byline Times was totally right when they broke the story 2 years ago. My heart breaks for Harry. All right, let's read some of the comments. Check out the People and Telegraph articles. I think I have the Telegraph open. Another squaddy already archived the Telegraph, one by the People. One has very similar information. Please drop the article or tell us what's going on. I'm always missing the important things because I have too many blocks. She blocks a lot of people. Thanks, absolutely heartbreaking. Okay, where's the article? I think I saw one here. This one is byline. This is something I think I read already. I'll leave the link in the description, but that's not let me check the date. Yeah, this is old, but I will leave this in the description because I think I've read it already. Okay, then Evans and Tom Latchen. Yes, I've read that, but I will leave the link of this article, the byline article, in the description. What I will read though is this one. Okay, this is more recent, and one of the squaddies already archived it, and I think I shared it on my community board the moment that I came across it. Okay, Prince Harry, police protection was withdrawn to trap me and royal family. Duke tells the Telegraph his worst fear have been confirmed by secret evidence heard in court over security. I believe on the 8th, they did that. Some of the thing we saw publicly, we saw some videos of inside the court. That was a bit more for the public. On the either the 9th or the 10th, I think it was it 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. It was 2 days back to back. The second day, I'm not 100% sure about the date. I think it's 8 and 9 or 9 and 10. The second day was a bit more private because there was sensitive information that were being discussed that was private. Okay, so this is the part we did not know, or at least I didn't know about. Okay, the Duke tells the Telegraph his worst fears has been confirmed by secret evidence heard in court over security. Okay, the Duke of, this was dated the 11th, okay, April 11, 2025. The Duke of Sussex believes his police protection was withdrawn in an effort to prevent him and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, from leaving the royal family to start a new life. Remember how I said in other videos, everything that they are facing right now, it's the royal family who created. Okay? You have something that Meghan and Harry, maybe the royal family do have control of that, but at least Harry and Meghan don't have control of what the tabloid decided to write on the papers. So now Harry and Meghan were getting the spotlight. Now the jealousy come about. This is the freaking nonsense, the link that these people cannot put together, including the royal family, even though they're creating the problem. Meghan and Harry don't have control of what the tabloid writes. But because the tabloid wants to write more about Harry and Meghan because there's more click, so that infuriates the royal family, I guess William and Charles. So they create this nonsense where William hires Simon Case to kick Harry out. This people need to understand. That was said in the original court hearing or for the review or something like that, that it was Simon Case who wrote the document to kick Harry out. And then you have Piers Morgan go on national television saying if Meghan wants privacy, to get the hell out of there. Okay? So all of this was created by the royal family, whichever member it might be. And now they give them a 12-month period to think about it. Okay? Do you want to leave or do you want to stay? It was that saying either you in or out. You cannot have half in and half out. So they gave them a 12-month period to think about it. What did the royal family do? Did they give him that 12-month period? No. They create another problem on top of that. They removed the security. Remember, they kicked them out. They removed the security, and then now we have all of these issues. One problem after another. Okay? So now there's Harry who's saying that, look, you guys need to review the final judgment of the review because he feel like he should have security. Now they told him, okay, you cannot have security or you have to pay for it. They bring some nonsense about money. So Harry said, I will pay for it. They told him, no, you cannot pay for it. There's all these other additional nonsense that they mentioned. And now people are comparing with Kate Moss and what was the most recent one, that singer, Taylor Swift, who had police protection. So how come he cannot have it? So it pretty much disqualify the royal family, or Vavik, I should say, argument. And then on top of that, okay, these are things people need to know. Some of the people who work in the palace, let's say for the royal family and all of that, some of them are working at Vavik. So there is a conflict of interest. The palace is creating problem. Now, to solve their problem, they interfere in Vavik's finding. Proper professional then look into it, or the palace persuade Vavik to come with their conclusion. And then you have the judge who reviewed the thing claim whatever it claimed. Harry then get the security. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, not too many people talking about it. And I saw it once. I don't think I have a screenshot of it. That the judge who came with the ruling either retired or something like that. I read it somewhere. So I'm not 100% sure about that. But let's continue. So these are some key issues people need to understand. And one more thing before I continue. When the Queen was alive, there was a secretary that the Queen had. I believe he was there for quite some time, maybe 10 or 12 years. And his job, he was doing it very well. Protect the crown, look for the interests of the Queen, give proper advice and all of that. Now, Charles and Andrew wanted things. Okay, just look at the screen. I'll be putting all of them. Charles and Andrew wanted things. And that secretary, I think something Lord Gates or something like that. There were some issues that were happening. Misbehavior of Andrew and other things that were happening. And he felt like whatever Andrew and Charles wanted is not best for the crown, I don't know, presentation. It pretty much is not good for the crown. So he keep on rejecting them. So what Charles and Andrew did, they put their heads together. They're like, okay, so I'm a senior royal. So whatever we said, that's what's going to happen. So Charles and Andrew fired Lord Gates and then put Edward Young, And then Edward Young have been there since then. And I think it was only Anne and what was the other brother? Ford Fiesta's husband, okay, who were against what Edward Young was doing. But in my humble opinion, well, it's not even a humble opinion. The article said it. Charles and Andrew wanted someone who is weak and easier to control. I'm talking on top of my head, but it will be on the screen. They wanted someone weak and easier to control so they could pretty much get what they want. So whatever was happening, and I believe Edward Young was part of it as well, and Warwick. Okay? So all of this, you put all of these little articles, you piece them together, you could have a pretty good idea what's going on. Okay? So let's continue. I'm sorry I took a long time just reading the first paragraph. Speaking to the Telegraph, the Duke described the moment he was told of the decision as, quote, difficult to swallow, end quote, having previously hinted that it was at the heart of the rift with his father, the king. He suggested he will find it hard to forgive his treatment, adding that his worst fear has been confirmed by secret evidence he had heard in court. The Duke believed his taxpayer-funded security was removed in a failed attempt to force him and Meghan to stay in Britain after he announced that they were stepping back from public duties and moving to the U.S. Speaking as he left the Royal Court of Justice following a 2-day appeal hearing over the decision, he said, quote, "We were trying to create this happy house," end quote. Okay, the Duke and Duchess hope that their own contentment will improve relation with the rest of the family. However, they viewed the removal of their security as a means of trying to force them back into Britain and establishment life by making visit to the UK as outsiders more difficult and potentially unsafe. And this is the thing I'm saying in other videos. Charles could have easily told the papers to stop all the BS that they were writing about Harry and Meghan. But he kept his mouth shut. Right? The Duke subsequently took the unprecedented step of suing the government to get the protection reinstated. Was it suing? Was it the review? I don't think it was suing. I think it was review. But I could be wrong. Let's go with what is being written. I think it was a review. And a sign of how important he considered the case to be, he suggested it was even more significant that a legal crusade against the tabloid press, which he had previously described as his life work, he said, quote, "This one always mattered the most," end quote. The Duke took legal action against the Home Office over its decision, arguing that the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, (RAVEC), which determined security arrangement, had failed to follow its own policy and that he had been singled out for unjustified and inferior treatment. Full-time taxpayers funded security is given to the King and Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and their 3 children. And you see, the children of the heir, which is William, right? And then you have Harry, who is the child of the king, and he can't get that. I understand the others are minor, but still, when you think about it. In contrast, a bespoke process created for the Duke and his family requires them to give 30 days, I think it was 28, to give 30 days notice of any plans to travel to the UK, with each visit then assessed on its merit before a decision is made on whether to grant protection. Their reason for attempting any particular event forms part of the decision, which the Duke argues was plainly irrelevant to his security. He has made it clear, okay? He has made clear that he believes the king could intervene in the matter. I think so too. Sir Clive Alderton, the king's private secretary, is a member of RAVEC. However, Buckingham Palace sources have strongly refuted the idea that the monarch could involve himself in the judicial process. Not the judicial process, but RAVEC itself. Okay, RAVEC is like, let's say, I'm just saying, it may not be the same, but let's say the Secret Service, FBI, for instance. Okay, the FBI will determine if certain thing is important or is grave or how dangerous it is or something like that. And I think that's where Charles could have said something, but instead he kept his mouth shut. The Duke is not believed to have seen or spoken to his father or his brother, the Prince of Wales, for several months. Much of the original hearing and last week's appeal was heard in private because of highly confidential evidence related to security arrangement and threat levels for the Duke and other public figures. Harry, people will be shocked at evidence. The Duke suggested that he could forgive a lot since 2016, the year he met Meghan, but not what has been done during the legal process and why. Some of the things I've been talking about. Okay? I'm pretty sure. He suggests that he was deeply unhappy with some of the evidence he had heard during the closed sitting of the court. Quote, people will be shocked by what's being held back, he said, adding that his worst fear have been confirmed by the whole legal disclosure in this case and that it's really sad. As the hearing came to an end, he admitted he was exhausted and overwhelmed by the process, which has consumed him for several years. Yeah, he spoke about it. Was it the Millbrook Summit or something? Not too long ago, like around September. The Duke, who made an announced visit to war victims in Ukraine hours after the appeal hearing, made clear that he will continue to fight for what he regards as justice, whatever the outcomes of the case. When he believes he has uncovered a wrong, he said, he is unable to let things lie and feels the need to get under the bonnet and fix it. This is what I'm saying. That Shanduka woman who dared to open her mouth about Meghan, if there is any lawsuit, this is where I think he's gonna go, because he's trying to keep his family safe. They have enough headache, unnecessary headache, and that Shanduka out of nowhere decided to mention Meghan, who was trying to help the charity. So anyway, that has nothing to do with the case, so I mention it, because when you get Harry pissed, he's not gonna let go. Adding that he was driven by exposing injustice. The appeal decision will be handed down by 3-judge panel after Easter. The Duke still plans to come back to the UK to support his charities even if he loses. Okay, Duke furious with original ruling. The Duke and Duchess announced that we're stepping back from official public duties on January 8, 2020. At the so-called Syndrome Summit. Okay, let's see what they say here, because there's a couple of things I've been putting in other videos regarding the Syndrome Summit and some part where he's in his book Spare. Okay, at the so-called Syndrome Summit, a crisis meeting called to thrash out the terms of their exit 5 days later, the Duke was told they will be able to retain security. Okay, that's what I believe. Okay, and then they cut it under them. Elizabeth II's private secretary, Sir Edward Young, this is the person that Charles have removed, have in place, okay, when him, Charles, and Andrew put their heads together and removed that, I think, Lord Gates, they put Sir Edward Young, okay? So Sir Edward Young is Charles' man, supposed to be the secretary for the Queen, all right? Queen Elizabeth II's private secretary, Sir Edward Young, wrote to Cabinet Secretary Sir Mark Sidwell after the meeting to say the monarch considered it imperative they continue to provide it with effective security against extremists. But after several meetings, including one held at Buckingham Palace, Warwick's final decision was shared on February 28. It stated that the Sussexes' plan to live abroad as private citizens did not fit readily into any category of Warwick's framework, that Metropolitan Police protection will no longer be appropriate and will be withdrawn by the end of March. The Duke was furious and demanded to know who was responsible. He said at the time that it had been imposed upon him as some, and I think he mentioned it in the docu-series on Netflix. All right, something like that. Some part of this were mentioned on that in the docu-series, Netflix docu-series. He said at the time that it had been imposed upon him as some form of punishment for protecting my family and putting them first. After leaving Britain and in search of financial independence, the Duke and Duchess signed a 5-year deal with Netflix, making a handful of programs, including the explosive Harry and Meghan docu-series. A deal with Spotify resulted in one podcast series from the Duchess called Archetype. The Duchess has since sought to reinvent herself as a lifestyle influencer, selling gem and edible flower, sprinkles to her new business as ever, which was launched alongside a Netflix show with Love Meghan. It comes after the Duke was plunged into a row over his African charity, Center Bali, as he announced he was quitting in solidarity with the board over a devastating breakdown in trust. I didn't even know they mentioned that in this article. The mass resignation prompted a war of words with the charity's chairman, Sophie Shanduka, over the charity's governance. The Duke was truly heartbreaking after being forced to step back from the charity he founded in 2006 to help young people affected by AIDS in Southern Africa in memory of his late mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. The Charity Commission is assessing the claims made by both sides, what's at stake in Prince Harry's court battle. To understand why the Duke of Sussex legal battle over security is so important to him, you must return to the heart of the rift with his family. When the Duke and Duchess announced their plans to start a new life abroad, they were told their round-the-clock taxpayer-funded security provision will be withdrawn. This, they believe, was an attempt to prevent them from leaving to force their hands. By removing their police protection, which the couple had made clear was their line in the sand, the detested, and remember, while all of this were happening, the paper consistently saying nonsense about Meghan, non-stop, until Meghan almost took her life. That's how bad it was. Okay? Keep all of this in mind as we read some of these things. Okay? The detested establishment, men in grey suit, will make it impossible for them to live outside the institution. Okay? All involved knew that security costs on this scale were crippling. But if that was the tactic, it fell, and it left a trail of deep resentment that reverberates to this day. They didn't expect them to earn money. That's what it was. Okay? They put all those unnecessary burden to them on Harry and Meghan, so all their money will go on mostly on security. One of the things that I said a long time ago, the money that Princess Diana left for Harry, if he were to use that on security alone, that would have been gone probably the first few months in their freedom, because security is that expensive. Or at least let's give it a year. Okay, and maybe they will manage and said we'll need you only when we're going outside or something. I don't know how that works, but you could just imagine how expensive it will be. But they didn't expect them to, be hardworking, creating things for Spotify, Lemonada, what's the other one? Netflix and all of that. And I believe Apple as well. There was a documentary Harry did with Oprah. So all of this. They didn't expect them to earn any money. Okay, speaking to the Telegraph as he left court during an attempt to challenge the decision, the Duke himself described their ordeal as difficult to swallow. As stunned as they were, the Duke and Duchess left anyway, determined to create for themselves a happy household free from the shackles of royal life. I'm surprised they didn't put anything about the what's this guy? Just look at the screen. I can think. The one who wrote the document for William to get Harry out of there. Okay, so this article then mentioning, what's his name? Oh my God, what is it? Simon Case. Remember that part? Simon Case wrote the thing for him, and the choice to leave was already written. All right, I'm surprised they didn't mention that. They were trying to create this happy house, the Duke told the Telegraph. That was 5 years ago, but to his clear fury, there has never been any kind of re-evaluation of his security provision, which is now determined on a case-by-case basis and is far from guaranteed. Rather, each side has dug in its heel. The Duke, to his father's horror, sued His Majesty's governess, arguing it was no longer safe to bring his family back to the UK. He believes he was singled out for unjustified and inferior treatment. The Home Office has argued that their departure presented a unique set of circumstances that did not allow for usual policy to be followed. The long-running legal battle means far more to the Duke than any of his bitter battles with the media. The hacking cases he considered necessary, but this one struck at the heart of his very essence, because his family involved. Duke did not choose this life, okay? The Duke was born into the royal family. He has argued he did not choose this life. The inherent security risks that come with such a unique position mean that he has spent almost his entire life shadowed constantly by police protection officers. It was something that was never questioned. Specialist Metropolitan Police officer lived alongside him throughout his childhood as Highgrove, Kensington Palace, were thereby Lord Grove and Eton. It was simply a part of life. I could understand that. And this is why they better get it right, because other than that, William's two other kids, the other spares, they're going to be facing that as well. The decision to step back from the public duties did not mean the threat suddenly dissipated. He was still the same person. His grandmother was Elizabeth II, and if anything, given his tours of duty in Afghanistan, the threat had increased. Despite his audacious bid for freedom, the Duke knows he can never be a private citizen in any meaningful way. No one views him as such, not the press, nor the public, nor the millions spouting forth and shaping opinion on social media. This, he strongly believes, is why so many high-profile individuals are giving taxpayer-funded police protection even after they have stepped back from their public roles. Former Prime Minister, for example, including Liz Truss. Okay, she was there for what? I'm thinking how many months? Couple months? 45 days, I think? And then she quit? Okay? So that alone. And then on top of it, I believe, from what I've heard, I could be wrong, please verify, she's gonna get, I think, £125,000 per year. For what? Just because she was a former prime minister for a few days? Okay? As far as the Duke was concerned, the removal of his security provision was wrapped up in the idea that if you leave a job, you lose the perks. But for him, security is not a privilege. Until he embarked on this protracted legal process, the term judicial review was not part of his lexicon. He had also known little of the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, known as RAVIC, if he had heard of it at all. I learned through that, the RAVIC, reading different things, and I came across it by accident. And then later on, I started listening to, hearing other people mentioning it. I learned through my own research about the 5I. Yes, it was there a long time ago, but I wasn't aware of it until I was digging into Harry's security thing. But he soon made it his personal mission to work out who sat on this all-powerful committee and how it operated. This was a fight largely conducted through the courts. In many ways, the legal battle has confirmed his worst fear. His absolute conviction, entirely misplaced, according to Buckingham Palace, that his father has the power to reinstate his security, has only served to fuel a sense of betrayal. You see? Did I mention it at the beginning before I started reading the entire article? Yes. His father has equal say one word, but he didn't do it. Okay? Crucially, he discovered that Sir Edward Young, there's the guy again. This is what I'm saying. This is a guy that Charles put in place to be the secretary for the Queen. And I believe, before I finish with this, I believe that Sir Edward Young is in the RAVIC as well. Let's see here. Crucially, he discovered that Sir Edward Young, the late Queen's private secretary, with whom he had long experienced significant tension, was a member of RAVIC. See? As was his father's right-hand man, Sir Clive Alderton. Okay? So there they are. These are the people who were working at the palace, who were with the Queen, and then at RAVIC. This is what I was saying in other videos where I give an example, some offices in the US. Okay, let's say, I think what I used in one video was, let's say, immigration and DMV. DMV is where you get your driver's license. Okay, different entities require different form of information. Okay, so to get your driver's license, there's a little bit gray. Well, not Trump is here. I believe you have to be a citizen to get your driver's license, and then immigration will check all your background if you how do you call this, have done something bad in your country, get your background and all of that before you could enter the country. Okay, two different offices, organization, different focus, but at the end of the day, they both are to protect the country in a way, give proper IDs and all of that. So we have here Sir Edward Young, okay, and what's the other one? Sir Clive Alderton. And I believe it was this guy who wanted Harry to remove someone's aide name into the court document, and Harry said no, or something like that. So all of this. But let's continue. Alright, committee process archaic. The Warwick process was considered archaic and perhaps fixed more on international terrorism than the domestic threat. The seed of discontent had been sown in 2017 when questions were raised about whether the Duchess will get police protection. The concern was said to have been over cost, but if the Sussexes lost their security 3 years later as some form of punishment or attempt at control, then surely they will argue there had since been an opportunity to make things right. To change tack now would be to suggest there had been alternative avenues all along. When told of the February 2020 decision to remove blanket security and instead create a bespoke, flexible approach, the Duke was furious. The Duke, he demanded to know who was willing to put him and his family in a position of extreme vulnerability and risk. The Duke comprehensively lost his case when a judge ruled last February that Warwick's decision had not been irrational or procedural unfair. And I believe that judge, if I'm not mistaken, someone put it in one of the comments. Let's put allegedly. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, but I read it somewhere that that judge retired, okay, but he was never going to let it lie. Fueled by deep-rooted fears, not only about his own safety, but about that of his wife and children, the circumstances of his mother's death were never far from the surface. His appearance at a 2-day appeal hearing at the Royal Court of Justice this week might have been considered by some to be just for show. Prince Harry's trips to UK since stepping down. Okay, but what is that? Is this something else? The Duke and Duchess stopped being working royal and moved to California. Okay, so that's something else. But it was clear as he listened to the argument being put forward that he was utterly immersed in every detail and knew the case inside out. When Sir James Eadie for the Home Office made comment with which he disagreed, notably when he admitted that the standard risk assessment denied to Harry was unusual carried out for most VIPs, he could not conceal his astonishment, raising an eyebrow, turning to his solicitor in disbelief, and on one occasion throwing his pen down on the desk in frustration. He is clearly exhausted and overwhelmed by the process. The Duke can forgive many things that have been said and done during their long-running rift with his family. Whether or not they can forgive him is another matter entirely. But the decision made about his security at such hugely pivotal time, decision that continue to affect him and his family every day, are something he is struggling to accept. As such, Dovo has become the driving factor in the ongoing fodder with his father. The king, he has made it clear, is one person he believes can bring an end to this nightmare in which he has become so deeply ensconced. If his security were restored, it will be swords down, friends have said. But I guess the court could bypass the Charles. I guess that's the only thing that could bypass Charles' thing. Okay, Charles put people everywhere. This is what I mean by bases. They cover all of their bases. One of their bases is that Sir Edward Young, to keep the queen in the dark, may she rest in peace, and then put him in Ravik. Okay, he wanted someone weak to do whatever he done. Whatever was happening through Edward Young was Charles. Alright, royal sources insist that it would be wholly inappropriate for the monarch to intervene in a judicial process regardless of the fact that Sir Clive sit on the committee. So this is what I'm saying. Only the court could bypass the Charles. Alright, so maybe this is why they put his trip to Italy when the thing was going on, because they know in advance. They know all this stuff that's going on in the court. So while this is going on, they ship him out so, to keep a distance. All right, the Duke wants peace. For all of the bad-tempered interviews and settling of scores, the Duke wants peace with his family and peace with the press, but he knows there has been too much conflict, too much water under the bridge. So much has changed in these intervening years. His father has cancer. Okay, but the lack of trust in the Sussexes mean that he does not know how much time he has left. The Duke would love to return more frequently to see family and support his charities without having to hide in hotels. Win or lose, disappear, he is aware that he may not get what he wants. Even a victory will not force Ravik to simply rewrite its policy to suit the Sussexes. There will be a window in which things could be changed, but it is not in his hands. Regardless of the outcome, the Duke will hope that by drawing attention to the way the committee operates, the system might change and become more transparent. If he can fix it for himself, perhaps he can fix it for others. Whether or not he has an appetite for pursuing the case still further beyond the courtroom remains to be seen. There will be nothing stopping him talking publicly about the experience and what he has learned, putting together the pieces of the puzzle, writing a second book, or making a podcast. The other 500 pages. Yes, I want him to write it. Okay, maybe it's already been written. It's just a matter of time to see how this goes. Alright, once they say he loses that appeal and he tell his publisher, publish. Maybe it's already written already. They're just waiting. The publisher's waiting for the green light. He will be acutely aware that to do so will cause further upset, but the Duke believes that if he has uncovered an injustice, he should try and fix it. He is unlikely to rest until he feels vindicated. Yep. Alright, so any other articles that I come across, the link will be in the description. This took me 38 minutes. So back to Twitter. Okay, this article, the byline one, will be in the description. The most heartbreaking part, they'll never stop. Even when the world knows the truth, the firm will continue to act like they've done nothing wrong. And beyond the firm, that family, each individual working member will be a self-serving and unfeeling coward until the end evil. Okay, wait, what? Where is the article? But during the time Prince Andrew had security, though, I think this is currently under review. He has his whatever he wants. Let me see. There's one comment under that. Okay, he has private security. Anne and Edward only close police protection when working, and they are on umbrella protection and royal ground. Was paid by his brother, but under review, whereas Harry and Meghan had credible threat, including people arrested and prison. There's that. Okay, so let me go to the next tweet. Okay, which one did I do here? 70. Only the first tweet in the article. And I think the next one has the article that I just read, which I already read. The Telegraph. That's the one I just read. Alright, Prince Harry claimed his worst fear had been confirmed by secret evidence heard in court over security. Okay, Harry's just mad that the royal family has moved on just fine without him. Oh, please, I don't think he cares about... He wants to move on with his life, but they keep on coming after him. There's 5 comments under it. Okay, thriving. They've had 2 with cancer and really looks like he needs time and rehab center somewhere. They are thriving. There's the laugh here. Oh my effing God, that is funny. That's literally the opposite of the truth. They haven't though, and there the issue lies. Okay, of course they are thriving. They have the support of brainwashed people who think they're serving the country by keeping them in luxury. Meanwhile, they live a life of ease, having holidays when there's in the month, and watching football and security paid by the taxpayers. We see what's going on. Whatever's there, that's it. Bottom up. There's that. His worst fear has been confirmed. Yes, Harry. We can confirm that you are in... Oh, please. Well, let's just say what he's doing here. Okay? Let me pause for a second. I put here. Well, soon there will be 2 future spares in waiting. Just saying. All right, let's just... My goodness. Black. All right, let's move on to the next one. I have like a dry cold. I hate those dry cold. Either you have it or you don't, but it's like right in between. Next one. We all guessed it. Pretty much it was Charles and William Parker Bowles who demanded Harry's security to be taken in order to make him come back, blackmail him. We all knew Charles was a deadbeat dad, but William Parker Bowles doing this after what happened to Diana, disgusting. Alright, so that's the article I just read. Okay, as this is UK taxpayers' money, not when not, maybe we should get to decide. Maybe, I don't know. Right, of course it was Charles and William. Nothing like that would have happened without the palace sign off on it. Okay, Prince Harry, the official. Oh, please. You will always hear the crazy ones. Okay, I like Harry, but I need more than him saying it. What does that mean? That was clear as day from the beginning. That's why they've tried too hard to destroy every business venture Harry and Meghan put out. Yeah, I agree with that one. Being a naive optimist, I always thought there's one day be a reconciliation between Harry and his family, but the more I learn, it seems unlikely. One can forgive some slight, but as with Meghan Dad, they've made that prospect impossible, and that's for the best in my humble opinion. Okay, there's people are related by blood, by they are not in my book, family. The notion of family includes love, safety, protection. Things happen between family members, but you never wish harm to your own family members, regardless on how you feel about them. It's so sad. Right? So there's that. Let's go to my last one, and that'll be it. I don't know if I'll have a chance to record again. I have more things to record. I have things about Meghan being in New York. I don't think I'm going to have time. Okay, so I have to go to the gym. I'm on a schedule right now with my gym thing here. I'm seeing the results, so I don't want to be lazy again. Sir Jim Eadie for the Home Office admitted that the standard risk assessment denied to Harry was usually carried out for most VIPs. Okay, wow, just wow. So any random VIP's life is automatically deemed more important than the head of state's son who served his country for years, his daughter-in-law, and his infant grandchildren. I'm so ashamed of this country right now. Okay, Charles is a cool man. That's why his reign is so sad and unglamorous. Right, exactly. I blocked this person. Okay, Taylor Swift protections because of a concert is more important than the king's son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. This man doesn't care if something happened to his son and family and how far he goes. I mean, he did say it. Like, there won't be any significant... I'll put the screenshot of what I'm making reference to. Alright, so let's go into that. Okay, they're planning an access. Okay, so that's Princess Diana thing. Okay, after Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped down from their role as senior royals, their bond with Queen Elizabeth reportedly soured. The Duke and Duchess have fought fiercely for royal security, demanding protection for their family. And a surprising twist, newly unearthed court documents reveal that the Queen backed their plea. Her letters showed that she supported their need for security as former senior royals. It's almost like that Liz Truss thing. The former prime minister who was there for 45 days or so. Couple months. Prince Harry and Meghan face credible threat by far-right extremists, says Met Police ex-counter-terrorist chief Neil Basu, asked if there had been a genuine threat to Meghan's life on more than one occasion, Neil Basu said, quote, "We had teams investigating it and people have been prosecuted for those threats." All right, so that was back in 2022. Okay, so there's that. Sir Clive Alderton. Today, King Charles and Queen Camilla's right-hand man and the former Lord Chamberlain, Lord Peel, put pressure on Harry to alter the legal papers. When the aide's name was not removed from the legal letters, the Sussexes were caught adrift financially and left unable to protect themselves despite having a security threat level equal to the monarch. The royal household had thought the threat of exposure will force Harry and Meghan to return to the UK, where their profile could be controlled, preventing them from eclipsing the future king. But it drove a wedge through the royal family and set and strained event leading to Prince Harry's book Spare and a string of high-profile commercial media deals and ongoing bad blood in the British monarchy. Okay, I think that's it. All right, if you can treat your own son and brother like this, how are you even a king or a future king? You cannot protect your own. Okay, that's an ad. What was even more egregious is that he said they have the ability and the scope to change the bespoke arrangement. So why have they not? Why haven't they sought more detailed information or taking into account Prince Harry wants to pay for his security like others do? Okay, so there's all of that. All right, let's play protection. Okay, let's pick an image. Whatever is here. This one. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall remain stable and fixed under the shadow of the Almighty, whose power no foe can withstand. Psalm 91:1. Okay, so that is it. Please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. If you want to support this channel, there's a PayPal link and a Cash App link in the description. You could donate. Those who have donated, thank you. All right, so that is it. I don't know if I will record later, but I just wanted to read the article. If I come across any other articles, the link will be in the description.
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we ask for forgiveness and please come back.
As you saw me find the love and happiness that I'd hoped for all my life. You are all in this together, And if I may speak personally, we are all in this together, because asking for help was one of the best decisions that I ever made. You will be continually amazed how life changes for the better